Welcome to the Think Small podcast, where we spotlight big ideas from small business leaders. Today, I'm joined by Bertrand, founder of ClearCloud Bookkeeping. She's here to talk about entrepreneurship, building a business around your strengths, and keeping the books in order, and why it's more important than you think. So let's get into it. Karen, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to this one as well. We've met with a large variety of people and businesses and industries. And one of the things that I wanted to talk to you specifically today was about how you got started, why you felt like, ClearCloud Bookkeeping, what you offer that's maybe a little bit different.
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I'll address the first question, which is how I get started. It really started out of necessity. ClearCloud started out of necessity. The company I was working for in the accounting department was talking about selling, and I had a couple of side hustles, and one of them was talking about closing up, and I realized I might need to be looking for another job. However, at the time, my husband was on kidney dialysis in need of a kidney transplant, and I needed the flexibility to be able to drop everything and head to the ER, leave early, come in late, all that kind of thing. And at the time, at my job, management was super supportive, partially because they were just good folks, and partially because I had established a long history of getting the work done, despite all the craziness in my life with my husband's health and raising my young daughter. But so I thought about getting a new job, and you don't walk into a new job and immediately expect that kind of flexibility. And I was going to need it immediately, hit the ground running with that kind of flexibility. So I had to start thinking about my options, and I happened to stumble across a business launch program that was specifically designed for bookkeepers and accountants, and did some research on that. And I had been doing bookkeeping for years and years and years, and so it just seemed like at the time it was just the perfect thing to segue into. Really was to start the business and be able really to control my own direction, my schedule. And so that's how I really got started in August of 2019.
All right, so August 2019. So there's a couple of things that come to my mind, and one of them is that it seems like that's such a risk, right? To go from this, steady and regular income from working for somebody to working for yourself. How does that mindset sort of shift, right? Like, I have to go out and there's nobody that's going to come rescue me. Like I'm the one that's in charge now. What's that like?
Well, it's, there's definitely some scariness. I will say that fortunately, that the employer that I worked for, I guess it's fortunate, they didn't go out of business. I mean, they didn't sell their business. That's what they were talking about doing. They didn't end up selling then. Eventually later they did, but I was able to build the business while still working for them and having the flexibility I had. So that was a really nice cushion. I didn't have to it wasn't all putting all my eggs in one basket at the time. So that was nice. So I was able to grow it somewhat organically, but always knowing that, the thought was that they were going to go away. But by the time my business was established, we transitioned and they became a client instead of, my employer. And to this day, my old boss is still, she's a great supporter of me and women-owned businesses in general.
That's fantastic. And then the second part that I was thinking immediately when you said August 2019 is what, just, 8-9 months later, COVID kind of hits. So how did that impact the business, right? I mean, you probably caught some steam. You got maybe a client or two, and then COVID hits, and then you're hit with like everything that came along with COVID. So what was that like?
Yeah, well, first off, let's just state the obvious. The pandemic was terrible, for everybody, for people's lives, personally, professionally, and so forth. But for us, I had begun building the business completely remotely. We're a 100% remote bookkeeping firm. And so we had things in place to be able to, it wasn't a big pivot for us because we were already set up to handle things remotely. So what the pandemic did do was it afforded us an interesting opportunity, which is really to network in a much more expanded way than we had, instead of going to local business bureau meetings and local, things in person locally, we were really able to expand and reach out to audiences and network with people across the country. We love working with small businesses in the DMV. That's what we affectionately call the DC metro area for DC, Maryland, Virginia. But it allowed us to really build our business beyond there and make contacts and expand. So, and on top of that, most of our our clients are in the professional services industries. So we weren't servicing restaurants. We weren't servicing, too much in the hospitality industry or the retail industry. So for us, it was it didn't upset things terribly.
Right. Okay. So I'm curious about expansion and like how that happened, right? So you're in business for some time. When did you first hire maybe your first employee? When did you identify that your time should be spent elsewhere and that you should probably delegate that job?
So that's a great question. I hired fairly early, at least when I compare myself with other colleagues. I hired a little bit earlier. I recognized pretty early my strengths and where my time could be spent best. I also value my time in general, and I wasn't looking to spend 80 hours a week building anything, even my own business. So I had a family. I enjoy volunteer work. So I knew that I needed to be very strategic about my own time. So I started just by outsourcing like a one-time project to see how that went. It went fairly well. It led to me hiring 2 very part-time people. They were able to work on the day-to-day, like data entry, bookkeeping type work. And that was really great because it allowed me the time to kind of take a more holistic view of my clients' books and build those relationships with them. And it also gave me time to continue to network, market, and then what every business needs, which is operations. So working on improving the operational end of things. And that's always ongoing.
And then so adding more staff, and then do you have any full-time employees, or are they pretty much all part-time? How's that?
They are all part-time right now. Yep.
Okay.
We're a team of 5.
Okay, cool. I was just curious about like what that was like. Have you always had sort of a management role? Have you always had a leadership role over your career, or is this something that was new?
It was fairly new, I would say. Yeah, I'd say I hadn't really managed. I'd usually been the one-man accounting manager, but managing the accounting department, which was just usually me, and maybe there might be a little bit of admin support at some places I worked at. But yeah, no, that was new to me. So that came out of the program I had taken. It dealt with some HR type coursework. So, but it was new. I hadn't done that before. I'm sure I made a lot of mistakes, still making them, but I love people. I love my team, and I hope that that carries across to them. I support them, and they're, just as I want flexibility, I support their flexibility. They all have other endeavors and other things that they're doing. So I like to be able to support that and allow them that freedom to do that, as long as the work obviously gets done. Yeah.
No, it's just, what was coming to my mind was when you said about growing the business and then employing, having a team of 5 now. I always find that when we talk with entrepreneurs and business owners, that there's the reason why they went into business is their main core competency, what they love doing. And then the second part of owning that business is all of the employer stuff that goes along with it, right? All of the compliance, making sure that they've established and maintained a culture that mimics their core vision and values for the company, right?
Yes.
So if you had to describe, or if you could tell us a little bit more about ClearCloud Bookkeeping's vision and values, what would you say are, core tenets to your business?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say we really want our clients and our team to be able to view each other as partners. And obviously it's partners with our clients in a different way than we are partners with each other. We also want everybody to be accountable, and there's no shame in mistakes, even in an accounting, in accounting field, when we can check things with calculators, there's no shame, but owning up to your mistakes, communicating them, supporting each other. I think that when people feel like they are a partner and they're working together as part of a team, then they're much more invested in the business and in the growth and in just everybody being successful. And I think the clients feel that too. They can tell that we are a team, that we work together well, that we've got each other's back.
Yeah.
We've got our clients' back.
Yeah, no, I think that's huge, right? Making sure, because I have to imagine that in bookkeeping, I mean, I'm in employee benefits, and a lot of what I do is making sure that I'm providing sort of that fiduciary responsibility, like they're getting absolutely the best benefit or the best offering, right? And I have to imagine that in your role as well, that fiduciary responsibility, because you're dealing with one of the most important components of a business, right? The finances.
Yeah.
It's exceptionally high. So that level of care and attention to detail is paramount.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, I think that we really often think of ourselves as kind of the nurses of our clients' business books. Sometimes we care about our clients' business. I feel like sometimes we care more about their businesses than they do. It'll feel that way sometimes, but we really want them to succeed. We often say we're the hand holders when necessary. We're the educators often, and we're the cheerleaders always. So you think about when you go to the doctor, or if you're in the hospital, how much time you spend with the nurses versus the doctors, and how, you ask them the questions, you learn from them, they listen, they spend time. And that's really where I think we are. And what we try to give our clients is, we know that having reliable, bulletproof books, that's a default. That just should come. That's compliance. We want them to be ready at tax time with reliable books that their tax preparer, because we don't do taxes. Their tax pro can take and file their taxes. But, we're really invested in them, and we want them to be able to understand their reports, manage them, grow their business, and know that we're right there, as a partner as they grow their business. And hopefully we're making them more profitable by providing that for them.
Yeah, no, I love that. You just kind of gave me a sampling of some of the solutions and, I guess, like offerings that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Other types of like lines of business do you currently provide for your clients? Like, what are some of the more creative things that ClearCloud Bookkeeping does?
Well, it's interesting. And it's funny you say creative, because usually people don't think of accounting as a creative field. But yes, we try to be creative. So we just like I said, as a baseline, we want to make sure we're providing them with solid, bulletproof books for taxes. But we've dipped our toe, and we've gotten into more advisory services, budgeting, cash flow forecasting. Pretty much we're the starting point for anything with a dollar sign. If it's not something we can do, we usually are partnered with others that can help. So we're a little bit of that go-between when someone needs maybe help in the finance area, or they need a new CPA. We're great with partners in other industries that are kind of in the similar support arena.
Nice. Okay, cool. One of the questions that I always kind of ask and comes up in my head is, because naturally when you own a business and you're owning and operating a business, challenges come up. So what is something maybe that keeps you up at night, or what's a real challenging thing that you didn't think was going to be as hard as it was when you started the business that you faced, and maybe how you overcame it?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I'm going to go into two different areas. One, and it's a challenge, but it's something I really enjoy, so it keeps me up at night because I love thinking about it, is when we have a client who has a need, and how we can meet that need. And I'll give you just a recent example. We have a client who really had no sense of the profitability of their marketing, of their, I guess they call them their business reps, we'll call them, like their marketers. And they didn't, there was nothing to reflect that, who was doing well, who wasn't. And so you start thinking about job costing, you start thinking about tools and resources that are out there that could be implemented, and how we could help them, and, and what's the first step and what's the second step, and who can be involved. And, so those kind of creative, I love that kind of thing. I love hearing the challenge from a client and then thinking, okay, what can we help them with, whether it's we're going to do it for them or we're going to guide them to find some resources to help them take care of it. So that keeps me up at night, but in a good way. But I guess, being kept up at night when you need sleep is never really a great thing. The other thing that I do struggle with, and it kind of goes back a little bit to when you're talking about managing people, is not being the bottleneck, and putting systems into place so that I'm not the one that's relied on, as much, and training your team to look to find other ways to get the answers that they need. We've implemented a 3 before me, which is, I don't know if that's a well-known thing or not, but it's something that we do, which is go to 3 resources before you come asking me for the answer. So, I think that's a training thing, a training issue, and it's always improving. But I think from a management, I think dealing with the people part keeps me up a little bit at night, and just not wanting to be that bottleneck. And also, I think giving people, I don't want to be a control freak. I want them to feel that they have the authority to make decisions on things that they have authority over and not have to feel like I'm hovering over their shoulder. So I think about those things a lot.
Nice. Okay. Where do you see the business going?
I would like to see it continue to grow at a steady pace that's manageable. We have capacity for new clients, and as we reach capacity, we would hire more. We continue to hire. I would probably like to see over the next 5 years, probably a 25% growth. We're really not looking to take over the world, but we want to be able to grow at a pace that we can all still maintain our flexibility, still give the same great quality value to our clients, be able to service them in the same way. I mean, I would say the elephant in the room sometimes with accounting these days is AI. I'll just bring it up. And so, there's constantly discussion of where AI is going and how it's going to affect our field. And I think if we can still maintain those great relationships with our clients and give them that personal touch, those AI tools are fantastic. They're tools though. And we want to learn how to leverage them to not just to do the work, but basically to give us more time to do the things we really like to do with our clients, to be able to give them a more personalized touch, have the time to give them a more personal touch.
We actually just had a conversation we recorded a podcast with a business owner who is like he's over 30 years of experience in AI, and he talks about how AI is the tool, right? It's like a hammer with all the bells and whistles, right? It's how do you use it instead of allowing it to replace you? Like, it's never going to fully replace you. It's how do you ask it the right question to make your job even better, right? Like, how do you streamline all of it? It's an efficiency tool. And so, absolutely. Yeah. Are you currently using an AI in some of the, ways that you interact with business?
So as a baseline, of course, like everyone else, we use ChatGPT to help polish, some of our marketing, some of our emails, some of our, those kinds of things. That's a great tool that's out there. But there's obviously a lot of accounting related AI tools that are coming out. We don't put our head in the sand. And so we are, we're investigating. I just attended a conference that, gosh, I would probably say a third of it was related to AI and how it's affecting the industry and tools that are out there and how we can leverage them. And so, yeah, we're looking at those. I mean, there's even AI platforms out there that are trying to take over, accounting platforms, I should say, that would love to replace QuickBooks down the road. QuickBooks is trying to implement AI into their services. So, I mean, we're aware of it and we're keeping ourselves educated. And when it looks like it can do a job and do it well, then we're open to that. But to be honest, in these early days, I haven't been really super impressed with some of those accounting software platforms that want to replace QuickBooks, and even QuickBooks, and they're using it. It's not there yet. I'm sure it will get there, but it's almost like having another employee. You have to check all the work, and I'd rather just have an employee at the moment. I mean, literally, you can't trust it with you're talking about numbers, you're talking about people, your clients who are going to rely on these numbers. So you can't just spit out AI and then expect it to be correct. You have to go back and just line by line check everything. And it's just not, I'd say it's like 50% correct. So I'd rather, at the moment, it's not there, but I'm sure it will move. It's moving fast, and we're aware of that.
I suppose the natural next question is, if I was a client looking to get some bookkeeping done, if I wanted to, reach out to you, Karen, how do I get in contact with ClearCloud Bookkeeping?
Sure. Well, the best place to find us is our website, which is clearcloudbookkeeping.com. You can read all about us, and there's a contact page. You can reach out that way. You can also reach out via email at info@clearcloudbookkeeping.com. Either my team or I will see that right away. We'd love to touch base. We love hearing about businesses. Not every client is an ideal client. That's the case in every business. But we are always willing to hear and meet new people and listen to their stories and see if we can be a good support for them.
Karen, thank you so much for being a guest with us today, and we're really looking forward to putting this one out. It was a great conversation as always, and we thank you very much for being a guest.
Yeah, I loved it, and really thanks so much for the opportunity.